Party. This week and each week is brought to you by Game Toppers. Upgrade your gaming experience and check out the late pledge for their Kickstarter at GameToppersLLC.com.
Welcome to Game All Night.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Game All Night. Tonight we are going to be joined by 5 people at once. This is Insane Town, something we haven't done for quite a long time. So we have all 5 of them eating all the green M&Ms in the world in the green room. So in the meantime, Dan has poured us a drink. Dan, we're not drinking beer tonight.
Oh yeah, it's crazy time. We needed something harder if we're going to do 5 people at once, so we needed to get serious here. So,
or unserious, as the case may be.
So yeah, what I've poured for us is the Bernheim wheat whiskey here. It has a profile sort of like a bourbon, like a wheat bourbon, a la Maker's Mark or a Weller's, but technically not considered a bourbon. I don't think it has enough corn in the mash bill to qualify, but it still has that real mellow sort of summer sipper flavor that you get from a high wheat.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I like it. It's not as sweet, but it's not as doesn't have as much of the burn as like a rye has.
Exactly.
So I'm digging it. It's nice.
Yeah, it's up my alley.
It's nice. All right. Awesome. So tonight we are joined by the 5 people who make up the Incorrigible Party. So say hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Sorry.
Wow, that was impressive. I appreciate that. So let me introduce the entire party, and we will start clockwise because that's how we do things. So up in the top left corner, we have Emily, who plays the character Gozer, who is a half orc, right?
Yep.
And what's the other half, Em?
Tenacity.
Okay. So we haven't figured that out yet. All right. Fine. John, you play the lovely Shaft, who is the little stubborn halfling with a slight Napoleon complex, right?
Absolutely not. He's the voice of reason.
Well, with the present company, that could be scary. Coming in over here at 3 o'clock, this is actually going to be Leland, who is the GM of the show, leading this crew through the entire escapade, as it were. The world builder, sir, welcome.
Thank you for having us. This is great.
All right. This is going to be awesome. So then we also have Bill, who plays the sassy wizard Falzarin.
Sassy.
That's accurate.
Sassy. And Elena, the even more sassy Bryn the elf. Elfling, half elf?
Yes.
What is it? Just dark elf?
I'm an
wood
elf. I'm
right.
a wood elf.
Wood
technically.
elf.
Yeah.
All right. So what we're going to do here is we're kind of sitting, we're into the adventure. About 40 or so episodes of the Incorrigible Party have actually happened at this point. And we decided this would be a good time to bring everybody on to kind of introduce you to the party, as it were. We're going to talk a little bit about the show and what you guys put into it, what brought it about, for crying out loud, because, who wants to do this stuff, right? Who wants to put all your stuff out there? You two even doing new things. Bill and Elena have never done any kind of stuff before. So we'll kind of rock through that. And at the end of it, we're going to kind of do their after party, which we'll put up the spoiler tag where if you have not listened, you do not want to play with that. Because we want to save all the fun stuff for you all to discover. So we'll get into that towards the end. So how's that sound to you guys?
Fantastic.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Awesome. So let's start with Leland. Since you're here and you're first, and you kind of created this entire world of Aspara, where did you come up with this idea for this world building that you did?
I usually draw on lots of pop culture stuff. A lot of my characters are often very reminiscent of iconic pop culture characters as well. And I don't know, I basically my inspiration really does come from a lot of the source material. I mean, quite often I'll just browse through like the monster manual or whatever.
Okay.
And when I see some type of detailed description that kind of just draws me, and then I like to craft around it, kind of thing.
Okay. Awesome. So, John and Emily, I have a feeling that, you guys had to have been instrumental in kind of pulling this entourage together. Because I really feel like you guys have always been around the podcasting space. I mean, you were a fan before I knew I had a show, to be honest. So you've been around quite a while. What was the initial vision like, and how did you guys try to bring it all together?
I think initially we sort of just all played around with each other on Twitter and just made fun of each other. And then as we started getting to know each other a little better, we thought, hey, we could do a podcast. Let's do something. And we were going to do something with just called the Incorrigible Club at the time when we originally started the idea. And it was just us talking about different things. Most of it just making fun of me. And we threw it together for a while to see how that would work out. And as we were talking, we decided, we started talking about D&D, and hey, wouldn't it be fun to play D&D like we're talking right now on, I think, Google Hangouts at the time. We thought, hey, let's give it a shot. And hey, why not record it? It'd be fun. So that's really how it sort of started out.
So that brings me to Elena and Bill. You guys are brand new and never did an adventure, to the point where at the beginning, if nobody's ever played, it's actually very nice because you get to learn a little bit more about the roles, and then Leland starts to back off with, telling you everything you should do, which dice to roll, which apparently, Bill still needs occasionally, but
That's so true. The other part is that he can edit it out, right? So he still has to tell us, but
which he doesn't always do.
So what prompted you guys to want to jump into this? Because I know you have a very busy life outside of here, but what prompted you to say, you know what, let's do this whole adventure, and then let's record us noobs doing this at the same time?
I was probably the most of a holdup for that. I had the most reservation. Elena was, she seemed pretty excited and eager to do it from the get-go.
Right.
And I've had a couple friends that had dabbled around with D&D, and I've always kind of had some reservations about doing it. But the three, John, Emily, and Leland kind of pestered me enough, really. So I was the one who needed convincing. Actually, I think a big turning point was me listening to some D&D podcasts.
Okay.
That kind of, I think, showed me what it can be like, and that it is probably something that I would have fun doing, and convinced me to give it a shot.
Awesome. So for John, you guys have been around the space. Now this is you're getting into producing content. What was the reality versus your expectations? Were there any huge hiccups that kind of came up as a result?
Technical issues, just getting everything never works the way it's supposed to.
I don't know what you're talking about. It works perfectly first time, every time.
right.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, that was the expectation.
Right.
Yeah. I think from playing D&D standpoint, I don't even think about us recording a podcast. I just get in and play the game, and then we really don't think about it until you listen back.
Well, because we don't have to do any of the work.
Right.
Leland does everything.
Right.
I will
Literally
say
does.
that
I'd say he's the unsung hero, but it's not unsung. Everybody knows. So, and if you stand still long enough, he'll tell you 3 times. No. The one question I had is, you guys, meaning John and Emily, obviously husband and wife, not obviously, but you share a same last name, and you're very, very comfortable if you were siblings, and it'd be a little scary. But
what?
we can be weird on this show too. But the thought is you guys record separately, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Now, what is the reason for that?
We don't really
I
like
don't,
each
I don't
other.
like him being this close to me. This is too much.
I don't like being this close to him.
It makes it easier for Leland. So if he needs to cut something out, he can just
Yeah, we
separate the track.
separate tracks. And yeah, I go down to my little room in the basement where it's nice and cool
Kick
and
him out to the
comfortable,
basement.
and she stays up here where it's hot and miserable.
It's
Fair
warm
enough.
in here.
I was just curious what the reason was, because every time I see your picture of your recording, I see you two separate, and I'm like, is there something going on there? Or is there's everything's still
No.
happy,
We
right?
need my alone time.
What's going on is that Leland has to try to cut out Alana chiming in while Bill's talking and things like that. So they're smarter and bought 2 mics.
I'm equally guilty of it. But yeah, Elena and I have thought
We like to chirp.
have thought of buying a second mic and doing what John and Emily do.
Gotcha.
Because we're bad at talking over each other, and it's easy to fix that if it's 2 separate tracks, but not if you're talking in the same mic. So
We
Interesting.
get better at
Luckily,
it.
Bill's deeply monotone voice is very easy to tune out anyway, so it's no problem.
You can literally just wipe out that Hertz band,
Yeah,
and it's
That's
just
it,
like, I got a filter for that.
Yeah, I got me a Bill
Jabs.
filter.
You know, I think Elena has that same filter. I think, she just kind of tunes him out. It's just like, click, what? Yeah.
Oh, he definitely has it for me. I'm the one talking all day, all the time.
Fair enough.
Anyway, we digress.
A little bit, and I'm sure it's only going to get worse. So Leland, when you started this out, we started out following these characters through level 1, and the progression seems very natural. It doesn't feel like we need to rush this so that we can get you up to levels to make this more interesting. It really felt like the cadence lined up and was correct for how the party was formed and how it's going. How have you found that journey to be from a DM side, like ramping this up as we go along?
For me, that's funny that you say that, actually. And that's nice to hear too, because it kind of feels like it's a little rushed, in my opinion. And also, if you kind of look at the time that has progressed, like campaign time, it's been like 3 weeks, and they've like excelled at their chosen crafts, like from like level 1 to 5, I think they're at right now.
Yeah, and like somebody one-shotting, things out of nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. But it's also, I think, feels a little differently for us as we record in. Obviously, our recordings are longer than what an episode release is.
Right.
So it's less instances of recording and playing for us as episodes release. So that's probably also why it may feel a little more accelerated than what the listener may feel.
Right, but I think that there's an important balance there to have showmanship and have something that's in. Nobody wants to listen to somebody throwing around magic missile and using mage hand as much as Bill liked it, at the beginning. Look, we need to play with this. We want to flip some levers and hear some switches, so it makes sense to kind of move it along. But it's funny that you say it's only been 3 weeks, but
Yeah.
poor Elena is like afraid her Amex due is about to come due soon and needs to get some treasure because she's got.
I need
problems.
some coin. Yeah.
So, how has the journey felt for you all, being that you're new and you're coming into this? Did you find it hard to jump into Bill and Elaine, or did you find it very easy to kind of fall into it, or how was it initially?
Well, we kind of touched on this earlier. John and Emily both said, we just play D&D and we forget there's a podcast. I think that Bill and I were very aware it was a podcast from the very beginning. We talked about this in an after party too. I think we've gotten better and more used to being like, okay, we don't have to be responsible for keeping the group together. Something like, our characters don't really like each other that much. So
no, they don't.
We kept having this burden in the back of our minds of like, how do we keep us all together going in the same direction under the same goal? And I think that we were super aware of the podcast during those moments at the beginning. And we've just kind of let go of those reins a little bit and been like, well, Leland, we'll figure it out.
Exactly. I mean, it can be a struggle. And so I need to know, Leland, how many curveballs do you field? Because to me, I mean, when I used to run campaigns and things, I mean, I was a kid. They were still like literally magazines at that point when we did this, and they felt very. You go into the tunnel, you do the thing. Here's the map, and you do this. But you're definitely running something that's a little more open-ended. How is that from a DM standpoint when you have people doing completely crazy, unpredictable things at any given time?
It can be challenging, but that's what I enjoy the most about being the running the game, and it's John in particular is a player that likes to throw as many of those curveballs as he possibly
What's your
can.
name? What's your name?
Yeah. Yeah.
Chef really likes to he just likes to do his own thing.
Stir the pot.
And I would say probably every like 3 or 4 episodes, it feels like something's come flying at my head that I have to either dodge or get a glove up and deal with somehow.
And that's our show, right?
That's exactly it.
And we'll figure that out later. So John, let's be honest here. Are you just trying to be difficult, or is it just kind of your nature to get in there and just kind of say
playing the
when we do
character?
this?
It just is difficult.
I really try to play Shaft as I envisioned him, and I think we've had a lot of discussions off mic about why did you do that, and I would go back and go, well, this is the reason I think he would think this way, and I usually get people going, oh, so you weren't just being a
Jerk.
Right. It certainly comes off that way because we don't have the full story, and probably the only person who does is you and Leland. And even to that point, Leland might even know things about your character that you don't based on backstory. So when you all created your characters, how did you go about doing that? Because we weren't privy to that kind of concept. And I'll start with you, Em, since you kind of created you created a little ball of hot mess that's kind of wandering around with an axe with all this muscle and kind of doesn't know what to do with it all. So how did you come up with your character, and how much of it do you keep to yourself and how much do you give away?
The second part's easy to answer. Most of it I keep to myself. It's between Leland and I, and the others really don't know a lot about Gozer. She came about because I wanted to play a barbarian. I hadn't played a barbarian before. I liked the half orc. I've played that before, and that just seems like a good fit. Mm-hmm. I've never played evil before, so I thought that'll be interesting. It's hard. Really hard to play an evil character and to remember I don't want to help these people unless it's going to help me. Okay. So just basically that, and then Leland and I just kind of worked together to come up with where she's from, kind of situation she came from, her home life, and I was like, well, she's got to be someone that's going to become an adventurer and become more than a normal person existing in this world.
Right.
So what's going to give her that drive and that motive? And that's how I came up with all of that.
Interesting. So, Elena, how did you decide that you wanted to be an elf? Was it just, they're cool. I like the ears. I can cosplay easily. You're short, so it works. Like, what's...
I am short. When we did the character creation, I think it's actually on the recording. Bill and I both had a class picked out, but we forgot about race. So I was kind of like pointed the direction of the elf as far as like wanting a dex bonus and stuff. Honestly, That's how that came about. I had no thoughts until that episode where we created characters, and they were like, "You should be an elf." So I did.
All right, and so. Coming back to you, Bill, what did you think was the wizard like versus what he ends up being to play? There has to be a difference, right? Like, this is what a wizard is, and this is what it ends up being.
I mean, I come from like Lord of the Rings and that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's I think was a big deciding factor in me wanting to be a wizard. So, you know, he's more I kind of knew he was going to be squishy a little bit, but he starts out very squishy and not very powerful. That ramps up as you level up as a wizard in D&D. But yeah, I mean, I've always. What's that?
Yeah. Gozer uses you as a punching bag.
Yes,
absolutely.
Quite
a punching
bit.
bag that can't take very many hits. Yeah, so it wasn't
not
exactly.
Powerful, but there's like a solid 15 episodes where you don't even cast a leveled spell. So I think that's on you, buddy.
Bill's stingy.
But Mage Hand's interesting.
I'm gonna Mage Hand that doorknob over there because I can't.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's, I kind of knew what to expect, but there's also, it doesn't quite mesh up with the wizards that I'm used to.
Right.
But that's okay.
Fair enough. So, Leland, when you got these characters and you're looking at the party, and so we're talking, we have a rogue, we have a wizard, we have a barbarian, we have a jerk. So
I know where this is going, yeah.
So what's missing from this classic adventuring party?
Hard.
Well, I mean, where does the list start? I mean, it starts at integrity, bravery, and ends in cleric. So yeah.
Yeah. Now, let's be honest. People,
cleric?
yeah, no, you don't apparently. So people are going to play what they want to play, right? And not everybody wants to play the supportive healer role. So as a GM, how can you find ways to mitigate that so that your party can still, get into dangerous positions without the complete and utter fear of dying, even though there have been a lot of death saving throws thrown around, especially earlier. Yeah. So what's that struggle been like?
That kind of it makes encounter crafting a little difficult, I would say, and I think I don't do a very good job either of giving the party instances of maybe finding additional healing.
Okay.
Although they do kind of seem to forget to go and pick some up every time they get into a city. That's definitely not on me.
That's super true.
They're too busy going to magic.
Yeah, absolutely. But honestly, it does help having Gozer. She really is like a tank. She is a beast. And she's always up front, and a lot of hits are always directed towards her. So, I think that, the classes themselves can really balance that stuff out, even without a dedicated healer sometimes.
I also find it interesting as, will anybody take a split class to get any healing abilities down the road? I'm curious to see what's going to happen as we progress, or if they're going to say, fighty, punchy.
Rage.
We like living on the edge.
Really.
Absolutely.
We like arguing. We like not making good decisions, and and
you imply you make decisions. A lot of times it just feels like we're just running around in the circle, going around the campfire.
I tend to just
even
walk
after
the direction.
Leland's edited it down, we do it for 20 minutes and he leaves it in for 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm glad I left some room at the top, Leland, because you probably need a halo after kind of running this party, I think, because...
Oh, don't suck up.
Yeah, what a suck up.
Oh, All right. Well, I think this is a great time to pause for a break. And, maybe we will go see if, we can get Magic to sponsor the show, because I think that would be fun. So we're going to be right back after this. Coming soon to a city near you. Magic, magic, magic! That's right, Magic, Magic, Magic has locations all over Aspara just to serve you. Come see us for all of your magical needs. You want trinkets, you need wands. How about potion materials? Do you need scribing materials? Magic, Magic, Magic has you covered. So come and see what's new at Magic, 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 serving Aspara for many, 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 many years. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are still back, but let's talk a little bit more with the Incorrigible Party. Again, I'm joined by Emily, John, Leland, Bill, Elena, all here tonight, and we are talking about the live D&D adventure show called the Incorrigible Party, or Incorrigible Party, depending on how your accent lets you say it. So that's, we encourage them to continue to do the show. So we're sitting at about 40 episodes, so there's been a lot of story that's unfolded. So I don't want to go into spoiler territory. We're going to do that at the end of the show when we do the actual after party and recap for you all. But up until this point, what are some of the things that you guys are thinking about as characters? Is there some big plot lines that are kind of starting to unravel before you that maybe you had started discussing that you can start to see? And how is that kind of impacting how you play from week to week? Because it has to make an impact when you start to see things, a person that you came in contact with again. And I'll start off with you, John, because you've been awfully quiet, which is really weird. I'm not sure. Anybody who knows you knows this is odd. So we're going to start off with you. How has it been for the emotional journey for Shaft throughout this process for you?
Shaft has an emotional journey?
Yeah, of course. I think one thing
it's all negative,
emotions?
but he has an emotional journey.
I don't think so. No, I'd say, we have overarching objectives, quite a few of them. And I think each character has something unique that we do is we sometimes go off mic, everybody else leaves, and each character has sort of a backstory or things that they're doing individually. And I think Shaft has of course the main objectives, but he also has things that he's interested to take care of himself. Right. He is a bounty hunter type guy and sort of lives sort of in the underworld, and he's sort of out for himself, but he knows he needs to use other people to get what he needs, and these guys are great to use. And so I think he had the idea really was I thought over time as we get to know each other as characters that we would grow closer together, and that's not happened yet. But I think Shaft has got a lot of irons in the fire right now. And as a listener, I think you know a lot more about that. The other characters may not know so much. So I think everything's questionable from all the rest of it every time I say anything. Even when I'm being and really trying to help, that's when they really don't believe anything that I say.
Yeah.
Right. And I think Elena kind of with Bryn's character is, I think there's moments where you two kind of totally get along and you're like, we're in this together. And then all of a sudden that just changes from one episode to the next. Now, Bryn, do you think that's intentional? Are you trying to, or is that really your character mirroring what Shaft is doing? And
we should be cut from the same cloth in Shaft's eyes, but Shaft doesn't relate to Bryn as Bryn's recent, I'd say months, even months ago, not even a year ago, her history. So I think there's some. In Shaft's eyes, Bryn should totally understand what he's saying all the time. And Bryn is more annoyed by Shaft the longer the season has progressed, later episodes. So, I don't know. I think that it's just more of Shaft's perception of Bryn is a little bit off.
Interesting. All right. So, Leland, you're getting all of this input. I can't imagine what it must be like trying to get the brain dump that they give you constantly and things they want to do. So how do you try and incorporate some of these personal objectives and personal relationships and things that the whole party doesn't know? How do you try to make sure that, everybody gets a moment per se?
Yeah, that's often fairly difficult, and I just hope and pray that everyone does get a moment before one of them might die, and we don't get to.
Oh no!
But so all of their characters, that was also that was a lot of part of the world building aspect as well for me, as I took a lot of the feedback from these characters and kind of their own histories and kind of was able to inject them into Asparas. So it's kind of almost seems like natural to be able to do it. And like this, John loves to send me, every so often an extra little paragraph or two of tidbitty stuff. Hey, this could be cool. I was thinking about, and those are things that I love to get from the players. And at any opportunity I can get, I can inject those in where I feel like they kind of still make sense to the story and don't feel like you're kind of getting beat over the head with a particular character or character's backstory.
So speaking of backstory, probably one of the more upfront ones, Emily, has been you. Your character's backstory kind of came out initially, at least your impetus for becoming the adventurer. The other stuff has obviously been very kind of close to the vest and held in secret, and we're seeing it dribble out throughout, the course of your adventure. How much do you put thought into how is the past affecting my character right now? Like, how much does that really factor into how you play?
Everything that's happened very much affects the way that Gozer feels. She's got a lot of weight on her right now, without going into too much specifics. She's not in a good place. Mm-hmm. And for a half orc that grew up amongst orcs, that's really not good. So she's very much controlled by what has been going on and has been happening in her perception, what's been happening to her. Mm-hmm. So it's not that she's going out and causing these things. None of it's her fault, of course. It's all this stuff that's been happening to her, and she's trying within her limited capabilities to deal with the situation.
Interesting.
By
beating stuff, yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, her therapy is double-edged, so that's all. There's nothing wrong with that. So why does she not like Falzarin? Where does that come from?
A weakling. He's so far not really proven himself to be a warrior. He's not worth her time.
Okay.
And the fact that she's pretty much saddled with him and he's there annoys her.
Saddled with him.
Right?
You hear these? Come on, you got words back to that?
Right.
Yeah, one could look at it as stabbed with Falzarin or blessed by someone who's able to use Mage Hand repeatedly.
Smack. just keep brain dusting Gozer. See how that works. So Bill, that kind of does leave me to you, because your character is, probably, like, I can draw a line between most of the other characters and some similarities and some bonds that they may have. That doesn't really exist for your guy. He tends to be more of a lone wolf and a closed book, not trying to imply pun on spellbook or anything, but, now that you're actually learning how to copy and write, that's impressive. Thank you. But, how is it like playing this character who ends up who keeps building walls around himself? Because that's really what he's doing. Even though he tries to poke an olive branch over top every now and then, half sincerely at least. But how's that coming?
Yeah, I think Falzarin isn't getting a lot from his other companions, and so he doesn't feel like sharing a lot about himself either.
Okay.
I think, in the right circumstances, he would be a lot more open. Mm-hmm. But I think he's surrounded by people that just kind of are hard to trust and hard to figure out what their goals are and what drives them. So I think he started out very, very naive and a lot more trusting, and has very quickly realized that, now that he's not on the island of Heraklion, this big world of Aspara is full of all sorts of different type of people who might not be exactly what they claim to be. So
sounds like you just need a friend there, Falsey.
Right.
Yeah.
yeah,
Which actually
He's
brings
got
would
me.
be great.
It does.
He's like
It
got
brings
the
me
burden
over.
of being the good guy.
Right. It brings me over to you, Leland, because, one of the things you've done is, you have crafted NPCs. You've had both guests and normals, and ones you've created as well, who have tended to interact directly with Falzarin. Is that because you kind of sense that gap and it allows him to maybe have something in this world that he can relate to?
Yeah, I never really maybe put it into words myself, but yeah, I think that kind of makes sense. Some of them I will say though, much like how Gozer feels, these particular NPCs may feel like he's an easy target for their own nefarious means.
Mm-hmm.
So that's definitely
Because
plays
he
into
is.
But also, that's also, I think, another way that I try to bring a bit more of Falzarin's backstory into the main campaign. As, like Bill mentioned, amongst the party themselves, he's not getting much help in that department.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So let's see, some things coming up. So as we record this, you all are kind of getting ready because, Alana, you are going to run a one-shot, if I'm not mistaken. Is that coming up soon?
Emily is.
Oh, Emily's running it. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're running the
There was
first
some
one.
There was some talk of Alana running one.
There's potential
it out.
It's
for
a lot
me.
of pressure.
There's potential for me to DM for the first time, but I'm like extremely intimidated by the thought. So
It's
I'm
only everybody's fun
procrastinating.
that hinges on everything you say. I mean, I
I
don't know what the
know,
pressure
right?
is.
It just seems so scary.
It
Like I've
is.
played
I'm
one
super nervous
campaign and
about
one
this.
character ever, and I'm gonna DM. Like it just, I've got the voices all on lock. Like I've got those
Okay.
down. I've got like a handful of voice options, but
Can you maybe
Sometimes
teach me that?
Yeah, sometimes you learn. Yeah, they all kind of end up sounding the same. Just saying.
right.
It's really hard to keep an accent up, but although I will say that the Leland women are something else. That's by far a highlight because
Breathy
they're
and
all like
beautiful.
breathy and vapey and like oh,
And Blake Lakely, he's a guy.
Blake Lakely. So you guys have also had a few special guest NPCs on. Now I know you haven't released the episode, but we just saw Mr. Bonacor popped on for a guest appearance. Who else have you had on the show?
Yeah.
We've had
We've
Leland?
had, we've had Patrick Hillier. He was actually our first NPC
Right.
Yeah.
guest. He kind of popped our NPC guest cherry. And who was after that? We had Pat McDonald.
That's what's next. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And JT and Christy Wayland.
Awesome.
Both incorrigible from
we-
Twitter days.
Our
by the
most
way.
recent, yeah, exactly. Part of just fellow incorrigible clubbers.
Part of the
and our most
Incorrigibles,
recent
yeah.
was Adelaide Gardner, who's she's a RPG streamer. She does a ton of tabletop
Twitch
RPG stuff.
Yeah.
Right. She certainly hopped right in and felt very comfortable with her.
She was
her-
good.
Yeah, her little bag of tricks was kind of awesome, though. I have to say that was. I liked her.
think
She
it's
was a
great
lot of
to
fun.
Pull people in from the board game world that we all talk about board games a lot, but there is crossover there
Sure.
into the RPG world, and we're trying to get people to see that it's fun to board gamers to see that it's fun too. That's part of the reason we did the podcast is to bring all of our friends that play board. And it's amazing. A lot of them have played RPGs in the past, and they just got away from it for a while, and they're happy to start getting back into it.
I think it's one of
RPGs
those
are
things
big.
that's hard, right? To
Yeah.
jump back in, but with the ability of Google Hangouts and things like this, like if you're up, you can probably find a game. You just need to set aside some time.
True.
So let's go around the horn real quick, and I want to ask each of you, like, what is some advice that you would give somebody who's starting out, either in a podcast or in even just basically running a D&D campaign or being in one? I'll let you kind of pick what you want to give, but I'll start with you, Em. Like, what do you think would be some great advice you could give somebody that you wish you knew now, 40 episodes in?
Oh gosh. So with starting a podcast, find somebody who's good at editing and willing to do it.
Right?
Yeah, find somebody else to do all the work. Step
Find
one.
somebody else to do all the work. Don't worry too much about the fact that people are actually going to be listening to you. Just have fun, enjoy the process as you go, and I guess that's it. Just have fun.
That's the goal, right? Because we're not putting this out to become Bill Gates. We're putting this out to have fun and to share. So, John, what's your advice for anybody who's doing anything?
I always say don't get overwhelmed by the rules. I mean, when you look and you see the piles of D&D books and everything, you think it's going to be insurmountable, and a lot of preconceived notions that what kind of costume do I need to wear to our D&D adventure and things like it. Just go have a good time with your friends. Don't worry about it. You'll pick things up as you go. If you screw stuff up, that's fine. Just as long as you're having fun and you're telling a good story. We change rules and we make calls on the fly, and a lot of the reason we do that is to show people that it doesn't really matter. You're having a good time. Let's make the call and move on.
Right.
And I think
because the right decision is the decision you make in the moment, right?
Exactly.
Excellent. For Leland, aside from saying yes to doing all the work, what is some advice to maybe a new GM or somebody who wants to maybe get a group together and run through this?
I think that it would probably be best if you did have a decent handle on the rules. But if some of your players are more frequent tabletop role player games and they know the rules, then that can help you a ton too. I mean, we always say, like, you're making this thing together, right? It's not my campaign, it's our campaign. So that can definitely help and take.
That's
a lot
not
of
what
the
you
pressure
said
off.
last week, but
Well, now, yes, in private I may say something different than obviously.
Ruining my campaign,
Viewer
I
are gonna
believe
see
was the sentence.
my campaign.
And as far as actual world building goes, I don't know, because there's so many different ways to approach it. Like, I know a lot of people say well, why don't you start with a pre-made one-shot campaign? I've never ran one of those before. I've always just done my own homebrew stuff. So that's not the kind of advice I would give, because that's not where I come from. The advice I would give is I just put down a framework and then just don't be afraid to leave it empty and fill it in after the fact.
Do you have a favorite system that you like, or something that you would maybe steer somebody to starting with?
Well, I mean, 5e, of course. 5e is obviously huge right now and is just continuing to get bigger, but it's I think it's that way for its reason. It's incredibly accessible. There are a lot of rules, yes, but there are not a lot of finer details that are necessary to enjoy the experience, I think.
Excellent. How about you, Bill? What advice would you give yourself from 40 episodes ago?
Yeah. I think
Make
I was
friends?
extremely nervous. Yeah. I was extremely nervous when we first started a podcast. Maybe more than anyone else. I don't know. I was very hesitant to do role playing. But a lot of that was preconceptions that were inaccurate. But I think, I have grown to fall completely head over heels in love with role playing and D&D, and I would go back and tell myself, just get over yourself. It's going to be a ton of fun, and you're overthinking it. It's an opportunity to help create a fascinating and really just exciting story that you see unfold on a week by week or however often you play basis, and you get to be part of it. I mean, it's really awesome. So I'm glad that these guys all convinced me to do it. And that's kind of, I think that's, if nothing else, I hope that we can convince a few people to give D&D a shot, or role playing in whatever system you want to use, from listening to our show.
Awesome. And I definitely think you have. I think you've made it very accessible, and by showing that you can learn on the fly, I think it's been very helpful for a lot of people who might otherwise not try something because they're afraid of looking stupid, or feeling like they don't know the right rules, or I'm sorry, I don't know what 4d6 means, but those kind of things.
Yeah, I still don't know what half of my spells do, and
I was going to say I don't know what 4d6 are.
Awesome. So how about you, Elena? What would you tell you from 40 episodes ago? Like, is there anything you'd change or do different if you were to start over again?
I'm going to go with the first part of what you said. Like, basically, I got frustrated very easily. I don't know, maybe like 20 episodes in. But, like, I got frustrated with, like, having this task. Mm-hmm. And then we have all these side tangents, and, like, I want to complete the task. And, like, and it really is frustrating to not, like, accomplish the goal that's at hand. Because there's other small goals and things pulling me other directions. And then I think also, like, trying to keep the party together for the podcast was, like, I don't know, I took that upon myself way too much, and I've been able to let that go a lot more. And just trusting Leland, which, like, is hard.
The hard part of it.
Yeah. Generally
your
speaking,
DM.
level 2U is not going to complete the quest and kill the dragon on, the first week. That's
but level
generally
2
not
you
how these
wanted
work.
to.
You just want to check boxes, but
I don't know how these things work. It's our first time, but yeah, that's how I felt.
You'll get there in the end, I'm sure. Well, guys, this has been a blast. This has been a lot of fun. So what we're going to do is we are going to actually conduct an after party where we go into a little bit of the actual nitty and gritty and the detail of the show. So, number one, if you have not listened up through episode 46, am I correct, Leland?
47.
47. So if you have not listened to there, then I implore you, turn off the show. It's fine. I'll be good with it, and come back when you have it. Otherwise, we're going to continue on, and we're going to actually have an after party. We're going to talk some stuff that went down. So I want to make sure that everybody gets that. And of course, I will put up a big glaring spoiler warning going forward. So we're going to be right back after this commercial break.
Pontifications with Patrick Hillier.
Hear about the new restaurant called Karma? There's no menu. You get what you deserve.
All right, this is it. You've been warned. Adventurers, venture forth at your own risk. Peril even. Peril. So, Leland, why don't you walk us through what's happened? Because we normally during an after show, you talk about the last 3 episodes. So every 4 episodes, you do an after show. So what has transpired in the last 3 episodes?
Well, quickly summarizing, the party finally they made it to the city of Pisces, which was I was quite frankly surprised they got there as early as they did, and Falzern was able to rally them and kind of get there to his own means.
Had nothing better to do.
Yeah.
Even when they know what's in there, right?
Yeah. But they basically were going to the city to get a boat so they could navigate this tainted lake kind of thing, and kind of continue their investigation on that. But they ended up actually at the Jacked Eel, the famous Pisces tavern.
So the Jacked Eel, I picture like an eel with like big arms, jacked, like something like a Navy SEAL would have if he was named after an eel.
Exactly.
Right.
All right.
And they were able to get some information on Erica, who Falzer needed to find. and they had a bit of a confrontation with her. And I don't think it went as well as Falzern wanted it to go.
No.
Did it, Falsey?
Yeah, so that confrontation was
Well-
kind of weird. I think we have to get back to that at some point. It was very awkward on the listener end to kind of go, what oh, okay.
What did you think would happen?
Like, knock, knock, knock. No, we mean we're here to kill you. Like, we prefer if you weren't around, period, anymore.
There's no beating around the bush. We had a job to do. Let's just
Right?
we did what we needed to do.
Yeah, Gozer and Bren were going to kill her.
As far as
But
I'm
it was like a
concerned,
kid
she's dead.
coming back for Halloween candy the 4th time. It's like, it was kind of like,
It really was.
it was like, look, kid, I'm onto you. I'm sorry. That's it. All right. So then we had that whole incident with blowing up her poorhouse.
Yeah, she did manage to survive and get away.
Mhm.
And Gozer took a nice little swan dive
Yeah, she
off
did.
of a 60-foot cliff.
Not a cannonball.
No,
I
it was
survived.
not very graceful.
I'll
And
say there's
the party
times
kind
when
of...
you just got to go, what the hell are you doing? That was one of those times when
It's the quickest way to get to her. She's getting away.
Yeah, well, you didn't end up taking all that much damage either, so it wasn't that bad. Maybe I was a little lenient on you there.
I think you were very lenient. I was
You said
expecting a
your
lot
roll
more
was
damage.
low. You rolled the D6, right?
Right. As per the falling damage rules, I did roll a D10 per 10 feet, so I did roll
Or
6.
D10, yeah.
66. Sorry, a D6 per 10 feet. Did I say D10?
Yeah.
I rolled 66.
But then you halved it.
Rolled low. I did have it because she was going into water, and it wasn't too
You took
high.
7 points of damage.
No.
Yeah, that's nothing.
I know. I rolled 14 on
That's a lot of ones.
But anyway, so Gozer gets in the water, sees what must be Erica, potentially, is swimming out into the sea towards the infinite storm that plagues the coast of Pisces. And then the party kind of hatches a scheme to try to figure out whether or not they want to chase her or what. And Falzer manages to convince them to continue to help him. And luckily
Again,
for the
nothing
party,
better to do.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Luckily for the party, they were
Why
able
not?
to procure some proper water transportation.
Falzer
Yeah.
would have been fine with the rowboat going 5 miles out and then somehow diving down into the water.
And hoping the rowboat will still be there when you get back.
And
Yeah.
Jack, being the voice of reason, had to lay it all out for everybody. And then
Well, I mean, all Leland has to do is talk about these crabs in front of Bryn, and she's like, I can steal it.
Bryn was
Let's
itching
go.
to steal everything. She's like,
I know.
I can steal Bodie McBoatface over there,
maniac.
no problem. I got that. You just distract them.
Because-
Don't worry, no one sleeps on the boats in the middle of the docks at the end in the night anyway, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
Leland, what was going through your mind when she was talking about stealing boats? She's like, you're going to try and steal a whole boat.
I did not know where she was going to put it or how she was going to move it. I don't know what she was she going to like pull a David Copperfield and bust up the mirrors and smoke machine or something? I don't know what she was going to do.
I don't think I knew what I was going to do.
She's like, I can find
I
the
was just
keys
gonna
to the
do
boat.
it.
Don't worry, I got this.
Yeah.
And then,
Gotta be
then
like a
for some
push
reason,
start,
she'll
right? A
roll.
push motor.
Right. And here's the scary thing, right? Because, you know, she did go and do that with the crabs, right? And she rolled 3 nat 20s in a row. So
Yeah,
had she,
that was
had she
sick.
tried to steal the boats, those nat 20s probably would have come up then, and you would have had to deal with it. You couldn't get
I would
around.
have had to give him a galley or something. A whole freaking
I rolled so well.
20 crew
like, so
boat
well.
or something.
It's like, don't, yeah, you
I think
stole
that's
it, but
why
there's
no one-
52 people on it.
I think that's why even when I got the crab and it like smashed a building, like no one came to get me. I was just rolling so well.
Well, no, I think that's because Leland wants to have some underwater fun adventure time, and you were really. What?
Fine, give him
I
the
want to
credit.
see. I want to see the video of you all taking your long rests while she's off. Like, I'm just gonna. Oh, I opened it up. That's great. I'm going to hop in. I'm just going to start moving levers now and just start seeing what the heck happens. Like, I think you even left in when Elena goes, "Don't hate me, guys. I'm just having fun."
Probably.
So what was going through your all mind while she's off doing this? Were you guys like going crazy? Did you even know about it? How did you play
She was
that?
going to be captured, and we were all going to go in front of the mayor.
Here we go again.
Yeah.
Those damn mayors. They're the worst.
She is pretty damn stealthy, though, so I felt pretty comfortable she would be able to hide if something went terribly wrong.
All right.
The other thing about Shaft was trying to just go to Erica and take care of her so that Falzarin would think it's done and dealt with, right? You said you thought it would be like a quick thing, like, oh, you blew up her house, she's gone. All right, time to go figure out this goo stuff. Like,
if there wasn't a damn back door that went out into the ocean, she would have fell off into the burning pile, and we would have just left. And I would have said, "Job done, Falzarin. Let's go do our next thing." And no, that wasn't possible. We had to.
That's what you were hoping for. Yeah.
Gozer would have let you just leave anyway.
It looked like, I mean, it was a fireball that blew the house pretty much to.
Right, but I mean, I even said in the episode, it's not dead till you see it dead.
Right. So,
True.
Till you see the body.
So Bill, you gave people fireball beads. What are you thinking?
Well,
Like,
I mean,
I definitely know Leland was surprised when you did this. He's like, "You're doing what now?"
Well,
Jabrin and Gozer, like,
I think-
oh man.
there was a bit of surprise and a bit of terror when I handed out a bunch of fireball beads to the rest of the party on Leland's part. Yeah, I mean that was part of me bartering with them to help me finish the job, I guess. Yeah, I don't know that there's not much in it for them to.
How'd you know Gozer wouldn't use it against you?
I didn't even think of that. Oh my goodness.
Well,
With his own fireball bead.
I would argue that if he hadn't actually used one in front of you all, that is a real possibility, though.
Yeah,
Like
Gozer would have had
legit.
to
Like I
try
think
it
Gozer
out
would have
to
said,
make
You
sure.
wouldn't have known. Yeah, she wouldn't
right,
have
like
known
you
how
used the
strong it
arcanic
was.
hand on you, and it did nothing. I'm sure you'd be like, "This won't do anything."
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think the most important thing that came out of that interaction with Erica is when Falzarin said, "I'm not here to kick you out of the club. I'm here to take over for you."
Right.
That was surprising.
Surprising to all of
Yeah.
us. There was,
And I think that was about the third knock that actually happened.
yeah. You had to work him up to it.
Oh,
So
man.
many knocks on the door.
You're like,
Oh, man.
I mean, I'm here to kill you. Sorry if that wasn't clear.
I was hoping she'd just bow out gracefully.
So I think off mic, Leland mentioned this. Like, Bill chose, and you asked him to clarify where to place, like where he was throwing the fireball.
Right.
And he said the door, and you're like, "You sure? Okay." Because afterwards, like on a part where we're just chatting and taking a break, you're like, "I thought for sure you'd throw it in a window."
Hmm.
I did, yes.
What would be the implications of throwing it in the window versus the door?
Well, because he just kind of threw it at the base of the building, and Erica basically had the building as cover. But if it went through a window inside of it, it would have been right next to her. So
Mechanically,
something could have turned out a little differently.
She had full cover, wouldn't she have? Or something to that effect?
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
Total cover, basically.
Yeah.
As far as the mechanic goes, yeah.
Right.
And
if
I
it
mean,
went
in
through
my
the
mind,
window,
I'm like,
if it went through the window, it might have been partial because it might have hit the window and exploded on the window. But she still might have had cover.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
It
Well,
all
at the very least, it might have prevented her from being able to escape the way she did.
Right. Interesting. Well, it'll be fun to see where it goes from here. The other thought is the sleight of foot. I haven't heard that recently, but you know.
Ooh, yeah, there you go.
Are we angling to get that in like an update, or is that going to be in 6E? Or
It's gonna be in 6E.
Yeah. There's been a couple emails back and forth between myself and Watsy. Wizards, they've been very prompt at getting back to me. I'll say
that's nice. Yeah, rejection
it seems
tends
like
to come quick.
It's leaning towards a no by the kind of the tone. But I'm still really pushing for it.
I love it. So you guys have definitely had some emotional roller coasters. I think everybody has kind of had a big emotional moment at this point. I think, you know, Bill, it was kind of when you actually took up the offer from Erica, right? It was like when you actually kind of accepted that mantle. I think that was a big emotional moment for your character. Am I wrong?
Isabella?
Isabella,
Yeah,
sorry, yes.
Yeah.
Kill Erica.
So we haven't all heard that, but okay. I mean, we'll assume that. I think we can assume
we
that
all
that
sort of-
happened.
I think we've all put that together and we've all talked about it.
Okay.
Pretty clearly.
I'm thinking, when was Shaft's emotional? Have we heard that?
Well, I'll let him break
he
his
might
out
have to
because
be-
I'm not going to
That's
spoil
pretty
anything
emotional.
now.
Yeah. No. You're fine.
Okay.
No, I don't think. I think
See,
Shaft is.
Did you miss the
overall.
spoiler warning at the beginning, guys? Did you miss that?
It's true.
For us too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shaft was the card on the sleeve, really. So everything's really.
Oh,
When
yeah,
was Shaft
absolutely.
emotional? That's what I'm confused.
It's really small and crusty, but it's on his sleeve.
Kind of
No,
just
we've
looks like
had
someone
some
wiped a
good,
booger on him.
We had,
And it's scratchy
Yeah,
now? That's not good.
moving, probably 6-7 episodes ago was probably one of our most emotional episodes. We had some real tears.
Too soon.
It made me cry.
It was funny because you even posted that, and I'm kind of like, I had to be careful in my response because I'm like, well, we knew it was not going to last this long anyway. It was a surprise, so it was kind of.
I think what happened was when it actually when we recorded it that night, somebody posted on Twitter, "Well, that happened."
Yeah.
And
Right.
I think almost immediately after, somebody said, "Did Duff die?"
Oh.
Yeah.
No,
posted
shut
Well,
up.
let's be honest. It's amazing that Leland that he lived as long as he did. You must have rolled like amazing for him.
I'm very surprised he lasted as long as he did. I mean, just the hardships that Goza just put him through day in and day out.
A great cap binder.
I mean, I don't even know how many days he was actually with you as far as like campaign days. Like, probably less than a week, but man, he had a harrowing week.
He was the guinea pig, man. He was like the trap finder.
Dude,
Poor
tie
guy.
the rope to him and let him go first. That was the best. Like, how much rope do we have?
Terrible.
Yes.
We need to tie
Yes.
up the brindle.
He gets a punji stick through him, and you're like, walk it off. You're fine. I'm not wasting my
Emily
potion
says
on you.
it's hard to play evil, but I don't know how much I believe that. Like, you had so many ideas of what to abuse Thuft with.
That was definitely intense, though. I mean, that was kind of like you guys. I can tell you where I was the day that it happened, and when I heard it, I'm kind of like, oh yeah, it did. It really, But that's, and it kind of happened in like. I think it was enough of a surprise that when it happened, you're kind of like, oh, and Leland that role was just absolutely brutal.
Yeah.
Like,
Insane.
Yeah, he went, oh no.
Yeah.
But I will say, when he followed up with describing Thuft's body, the pustules and the explosion.
So gross.
Yeah, that really brought the emotion home.
Well, no, it was the pearl. The pearl's what did
the pearl, that was the
The
thing.
pearl.
The pearl. Oh,
The pearl.
he just yanked on that little heartstring right there.
Oh,
it. Yeah,
Totally.
he did.
And of course, Bryn's all like, "You got anything on that body?"
Okay. I won't defend myself. I discuss it in the after party episode. I feel like I didn't know what I was doing, and I regret saying it.
No, you don't. We were going to go back.
We all mourn in our own way.
Right.
No, Gozer was not going to let you do that.
I think one thing to note is moments like that. I mean, they say people that role play as a group, you have memories like you have memories of going on vacation or
Right.
in real life memories, because you have this vision in your head that you have of this moment. I when you talk about it, I picture that moment in my head.
That makes me sad.
Yeah, and so there was some real emotion. She had a hard time going to sleep that night.
Which I think this is a great time to ask Leland. Do we have any questions from the Peanut Gallery or any of the listeners that might be germane to this particular conversation?
Well, there is kind of a question from Mike Caldwell. He's a frequent questioner of the podcast. He's got a specific one for Elena. He says, in a recent after party, Elena mentioned that Bryn was a bit sassy in the upcoming episodes. I was surprised at just how moody she was even before her vision and the handprint left on her leather armor. She has seemed to be in a bad mood for the past 6 episodes, give or take. So question for Elena. Did you listen to any parts of an episode where you were off mic, or was this sudden depression inspired by something you intentionally brought to Bryn's character?
Ooh, that's a lot of questions. That's more than I ask.
Okay, the moodiness, like the sassy moodiness, was because, again, like I kind of talked about how I'm trying to let go of keeping the party together. Bryn is like, okay, so if I'm going to go on all these side tangents, there's got to be something in it for me. And I literally have nothing to show for it. We are no richer, no magical items, any of the stuff that was quote unquote promised. So I think that was the sassiness. I had maybe mentioned something to Leland, and then there was something put into works, but I didn't know that it would come to me in the vision like it did, which is awesome because Leland does a really good job of like incorporating it in a way that you might not expect. And so in character, my response was real and authentic in that moment because I didn't like, I kind of knew where it was like pointing, it is and was pointing towards, because you still don't really know. But it was like totally caught me off guard and it was really cool. So good job, Leland.
Awesome.
But yeah, I don't know.
So just generally crying for no reason is kind of what I'm taking away from that.
Crying. Well, you guys as listeners would know about Ciari, correct? So you would know about my friend and her death, and that wasn't that long ago.
Right.
And like in the wake of like all these different side tangents and battles, and my handprint is on a contract for something, like Bryn is all of a sudden like, oh, should I be caring about this? Because she's covered in the black slime and things like that. Like Bryn beforehand was like, why do I care about this? I don't care about this. I'm supposed to be taking care of these towers.
Right.
So I think it kind of brings her back into the story and gives her something to care about.
Mm-hmm.
So
instead of just being sneaky.
Yeah, and I think the crying was a reaction that I had that was like, everyone might be surprised and be like, what's her deal? But like, I might get away with not being asked about it, which kind of happened. And also show another side of her. Like, she's not all tough. Like, I don't know. She's chaotic neutral, okay? She's not evil.
Yeah. I think my favorite line from that series of episodes was Bryn just all sniffly and I'm sneaky. I have my magic bow. Oh, I just love it. Oh, it's so good.
It covers sniffles with a +1. It's fine.
It was like it was for sure to date like my most fun role playing. 100%. Like I felt like, ask Bill, I was actually tearing up and it was kind of fun. I don't know. I felt like I was actually acting. So it was good. I just let go. I forgot anyone was listening. Yeah.
All of us, Leland, even on this side. It was
really awkward.
It was almost as awkward as the third knock. Let's be honest.
The third Third Knock. Oh,
I'll
such a
carry
good
that crown.
nickname. Such a good
I wish I had
nickname.
called the episode that. Man, Chris, I gotta
The
send you
Third
these
Knock.
episodes ahead of time. So you can
Yeah.
get it on the title action.
Good
Maybe
question,
she'll
Mike.
understand it
Thanks.
if I phrase it this way. I don't know. Awesome.
That was a
What
great,
else?
That was a great question.
So, what other things have you guys discovered in the last couple episodes that maybe you didn't know before about each other or each other's characters?
There's a lot more to Falzarin than we
Apparently-
ever considered.
Yeah.
Falzarin has fins or something. I don't know. He can breathe.
Yeah.
underwater.
Something happened to Falzarin in his past that we previously
just-
have not been at all concerned about.
He just likes to swim. There's nothing wrong with I mean, growing up on an island, naturally he'd spend some time at the beach.
No, there's something more to it.
Oh, we
Again,
know, and we know. Yeah.
Is this like Waterworld Part 2 action going on?
Yeah. Pull his robe down a little bit. He's got gills running down his neck.
Right.
I'll have to have him digitally altered after the fact. It'll be great.
Brindle
Absolutely.
was sort of afraid to go into the cave and get into the water, and
Right.
now he,
And he
Yeah.
grew up on an island.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Maybe
Well,
he just didn't want to
Brindle,
get into the
maybe a
water
little-
with Falsey. Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
Falsey and Brendel a little closer than we thought.
Maybe.
The running joke is that Brendel's the next to go. He's just not mad.
No, he's not.
Yeah,
No,
good
he's
at so
not.
killing Brendel.
He's
He's a goner.
squishy and useless.
But
No,
he's your
no,
healer,
right.
guys. Come on. You
Yeah.
needed one. You were provided.
Really?
Oh no, he's
Not
down.
really, though.
No.
Nobody could have saved Thuff. Get over it. It's not going to
Thank
happen.
you. Thank you.
That role was ridiculous. That was.
I mean, as far as Brendel's
You
concerned,
went
he
there.
saved Gozer. I mean, she's still kicking. So
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Gozer saved
Oh, it's
Gozer.
starting to come back.
I
as,
think
as far as he knows, you're not showing any more symptoms. You haven't punched him
How far he
lately.
I think he does keep a couple more steps back typically now.
He's not willing
Yeah.
to get us closer.
Yeah, just out of axe reach.
He's a quick learner. Yeah.
No, I'd say, I think, Falzarin and I had some moments recently, and I think we've become a lot closer friends. Wouldn't you agree, Falzarin?
I guess
think
we
we're-
haven't heard those. All right.
Yeah.
He's not so quick to back you up on that.
I think Falzarin
I think
wants.
we've said in after parties that Falzarin feels that Shaft is the most trustworthy of the bunch.
That's what
Yeah.
I said.
Well, yeah. Falzarin and Bill have different opinions, but
Right? Correct.
yeah, no, that's true. Based on interactions we've had, that Shaft has pretty much always followed through with what he said, and most things have been at face value. Turned out to be what they were supposed to turn out to be with Shaft. So
Exactly.
Falzarin, probably out of anyone,
That is so
it's
ambiguous.
just a commentary on how bad Falzarin is at judging people's character, but.
We're in the spoiler section. Are Emily and I allowed to hear what happened? What's this bonding experience?
Don't worry about it.
Does it have to do with a certain friend in common? I'm thinking it's your
Yeah,
friend that you have in common.
We're all friends with Thuft.
Mm.
We're all friends with Thuft.
All right. We're big capital W.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, is there any fun hijinks expected ahead? Like, what are some things that we should maybe tune in for the next couple weeks? Is there anything we want to, who's getting their moment? What's coming up?
Oh my.
How many
Well,
episodes
as
ahead?
we
no.
mentioned,
We
our next
can't
NPC guest
say.
is Stephen Bonacor of Stronghold Games.
Awesome.
That's a great episode. I'm sure everyone will
Yep.
enjoy that.
Yeah.
But
He's
a little
so fun.
before
Lots of
that, we
beer and
kind
drunk.
of we
Don't
they,
say it.
They chase after Erica. I don't. If
right.
you're at all interested in kind of whatever conclusion may come about it, but they pursue and it's a bit of a doozy.
If you want to see Barry the Badger, he may make an appearance.
Oh, that's very
yes.
yeah.
Barry may make an appearance. The others might use their fireball beads. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Fireball being thrown. Barry gets a little caught in the crossfire.
Yeah. Brendel is useless.
Roasted
Brendel
badger.
is
Oh,
useless.
so useless.
What
Brendel
Brendel didn't
shoots
tell you is that
firebolts
he's
of
only level
sparklers.
1, so he can heal 1d4.
He can't hit with the damn
I don't know.
Classes.
Maybe there's a shipwreck or two
All right.
in play. Yeah,
Awesome.
we'll see.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Some
Awesome.
exciting episodes for sure.
I will say actually kind of a Game All Night exclusive for
Ooh.
Emily's one shot coming up. I have my character pretty well fleshed out. I think I could probably spoil. I'm playing
Ooh.
a goblin fighter rogue wizard with a French accent named Jacques.
Jacques. Yes.
Oh, that sounds
I'm
amazing.
excited to hear Leland play for once, you know? Like, it's going to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
Awesome. I can't
I'm
wait to
nervous
hear that. I
about
think
that.
that'll be a fun change of pace. That'll be
I
enjoyable.
think
I
so,
may
too.
or may not be a bard that just quotes, you know, the divas of our time, you know? So,
Just
maybe.
the
We'll see.
one who can only speak in John Lennon lyrics. Like the only
Yeah,
thing
I'm
he can
only going to
say.
speak in... I won't limit myself to John Lennon, but I
Elena's
will
more like
only speak in lyrics.
Backstreet Boys,
NSYNC and
Spice Girls,
Beyonce, you know.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Will.
But-
That's fine.
We want to attract more listeners.
I'm a millennial, okay, Chris? Come on.
It's okay. It's
What do
okay.
you
I don't
expect?
judge. I don't judge.
So young,
Okay.
Chris. There's some things they say, and I'm like, you guys are just so young.
Yeah,
Very.
we won't go there. We remember first edition. Just saying.
Oof. That's a long time ago.
Yes.
I mean,
Well-
I heard of D&D through Stranger Things. That's a millennial
Oh,
thing.
boy.
It's true.
No.
It's
Unless you grew up during
reality.
satanic panic, you just don't know. In a Christian school where I wasn't even allowed to bring it in, I had to sneak it in, like legit. So never played it, but I brought it.
Well, that's half the battle, they say.
It really is. It really is. Well, this has been a lot of fun, guys. I have loved doing the after party with you. This has been great. When you guys have the TPK, the Total Party Kill, I certainly want to have you back on because, well, that might be next week. So I don't want to necessarily have you on that
true.
quick. But, you know, we'll definitely get you back on in a little while and catch up and see how you all are making out. But if you all at home have not listened to it, I highly encourage it. It's a lot of fun. And Leland is very, very good with the editing. As you've seen tonight,
Thank you.
there's a lot to edit. And he is very adept at keeping in only the very pertinent stuff. And, you know, in a D&D show, I think that's really crucial. So good job there, sir. And, of course, you guys are crazy as always. So
We're okay? All right.
we'll let you have your crazy. So follow along at home and have some fun. So let's go around the horn. Where can people find all of you if they want to follow you? They can find the whole Incorrigible Party online at Incorrigible Par on Twitter, or you can search for Incorrigible Party and you can get to the website. And remember, that's Incorrigible, not Encourageable. So one will not get you there, one will, spelled with an I. Emily, if somebody wants to follow you, where could they do that?
I am Emily D333 on Twitter. I am Art of Emily Rose on Instagram, I think. And I have an Etsy store.
Yep.
I should have this crap memorized, but I don't.
You should.
You can find
I
it.
have Etsy
Critical
store.
Hit
It's all linked
Designs.
to the website. It's all linked
Yep.
to the website. It's on there.
All right. Excellent. And John, people find you?
You can get me on Twitter. Good Enough Party is
Yes.
where you find me.
Good enough.
feel free to put a comment in or whatever. And if you get caught up in an incorrigible thread, God help you.
I hope you have your charger.
It's all downhill from there. And John is the one who can accept by far the most derision and sass that you can throw at him. He's definitely the best one for that. Target him specifically. Alana, if you want people to follow you, because you do post occasionally, I see you out there.
Yeah, I'm not on Twitter as much, but I'm McSlicken on Twitter. On Instagram, I'm AJEO. Figure that out. AYEJAYEO. And also, our two cute little doggies, if you like dogs, they have their own Instagram. I'm going to plug it right now.
Do it.
Frankie _ and Fitz. Frankie with an IE _ Fitz. And they're adorable.
And I think it's appropriate that you tell us your dog name because, Bill, what's your handle?
Oh, right. That's true. He hasn't changed it yet.
Yeah, that's a long story. It originated as a throwaway Twitter account that's now become...
That became Incorrigible.
My main squeeze, yeah.
There you go.
So, Fitzy Simmons, which is the long version of my dog's name. My dog, Fitz. So that's me on Twitter.
Fritz, I'm confused.
You are
He's not
just
German.
one of the few trying to annoy us.
Oh, yes. Come see our Fritz on Instagram.
Oh, yes, it's
Oktoberfest.
There's an NPC voice you could use.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. You need Fritzy running around in his lederhosen. It's going to be great.
Hi, I'm Fritzy.
I am on Instagram, but I don't post there near as often as I should. On Instagram, I'm Bladio22, BLADIO.
Excellent, excellent. And Mr. Steele, Buns of Steel, where are you? Can you be found?
I am on Twitter, Leland _Steele. We're actually Incorrigible Party is on Instagram as well. I think it's just at Incorrigible Party.
Right. And for those Americans, Steel is not spelled like Remington Steel, STELE. No, it's just STEEL.
Right, like the metal, like the
leave off the last E for
dependable,
savings.
Reliable metal.
Yes. Right.
Yeah, why did you do that?
Outstanding. This has been a lot of fun. I think we need to have you back next week to play a quick game. What do you guys think?
Absolutely.
You up for it?
Oof.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
All right. So please remember
Only
the
if I can win.
exact. You need to remember the exact clothing you're wearing, because in a week's time, and this is exactly what we need it to look like, so we have continuity. All right. Fair enough.
I am much appreciated
not
about continuity.
All right. Excellent. So we'll see you next week, and be sure you guys role play the crap out of it when you game all night. Good night. Thanks for watching this week's episode. Join us next week when we play a game with the guest. If you enjoy our content, please consider supporting us on Patreon. Be sure to follow us on all forms of social media. Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook are the best ways possible. Simply find us by searching for Game All Night Show. And of course, check out our website at gameallnightshow.com. This week and each week is made possible through the generous support of donors like these. Be sure to subscribe below and check out our latest videos.
Just thinking back, Leland, when we first started harassing each other on Twitter, which there's no other way to describe it.
Like, chime in whenever you want, Dan. He's like, I can get
Sorry,
a word
Dan.
in edgewise. These guys are ridiculous.
Because what the show really needed was a seventh voice.
I was trying to remember my outfit for next week. I didn't realize we were playing this right now.
No.
I was trying to remember